The emergency medical bay's priority alert had been screaming for 6 minutes straight, and Station Commander Zilak still couldn't process what he was seeing on the security footage. Korvax, a decorated Zentarii warrior, 340 pounds of elite military muscle, veteran of 4 planetary campaigns, was lying unconscious with 17 confirmed fractures, a shattered jaw, and injuries the medical scanner kept classifying as consistent with high-velocity shuttle impact. 3 seconds earlier, he'd been attempting to lift human maintenance technician Emma Johnson by her collar during what appeared to be a routine argument about equipment scheduling. According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. "Run it again," Zilak said, his secondary arms trembling slightly. His career had survived budget cuts, 3 diplomatic incidents, and a reactor malfunction. It would not survive whatever this was. Dr. Lirana rewound the footage for the 8th time. "Commander, I've analyzed every frame. The human didn't punch him. She didn't kick him. Her hand moved at normal human speed. We clocked it at approximately 15 miles per hour. That's walking speed, but the force required to cause this damage?" She gestured at the unconscious Zentarii warrior, his face swollen beyond recognition, his jaw now held together with emergency medical scaffolding. "We're talking 3,000 pounds per square inch, minimum. Could it be a weapon, some kind of hidden technology? We scanned her 3 times. Nothing. She's wearing a standard maintenance uniform, carrying a coffee thermos, and has a data pad with her work schedule. That's it." Lirana pulled up the biometric data. "Commander, her bone density readings are, I thought the scanner was malfunctioning. I ran it 4 times. Zilak stared at the numbers. They made no sense. "This says her skeletal structure could support loads normally handled by cargo equipment." "I know what it says. I don't know what it means." In the holding area, not quite a cell, but not quite a waiting room, Emma Johnson sat on a bench that creaked ominously under what should have been negligible weight. She was scrolling through her data pad, occasionally sipping from her coffee thermos, looking about as concerned as someone waiting for a bus. Zilak entered, his official uniform crisp, his demeanor professional despite his internal screaming. "Ms. Johnson, I need to understand what happened in Corridor 7B approximately." He checked his chronometer. 43 minutes ago. Emma looked up, genuinely puzzled. "The thing with Korvax? Is he okay? He hit the floor pretty hard." "He hit the floor because you assaulted him." What?" "No, he grabbed me." Emma set down her coffee with a gentle touch that somehow still made the metal table ring like a bell. "I was explaining that I couldn't move the filter replacement schedule up because the parts hadn't arrived yet. He got mad, started yelling about human inefficiency, and then grabbed my collar and tried to lift me." She shrugged. "I told him not to. He didn't let go, so I removed his hand." "You removed his hand," Zilak repeated slowly. "Yeah, I mean, he wasn't letting go. What was I supposed to do, just let him drag me around?" "Ms. Johnson, Korvax is a Zentarii warrior. He has 17 fractures. His jaw is shattered. He'll be eating through a feeding tube for at least 2 months." Emma's eyes widened. "Oh my God, seriously, I just grabbed his wrist and pulled his hand off. I wasn't even—" She stopped, looking genuinely distressed. "Is he going to be okay?" "I honestly didn't mean to hurt him. He just wouldn't let go, and I had work to finish." Zilak pulled up the footage on his data pad and showed it to her. Emma watched herself standing there, Korvax grabbing her collar with clear, aggressive intent, her hand reaching up at normal speed to grasp his wrist, and then the Zentarii warrior flew backward as if hit by a vehicle, crashed into the corridor wall hard enough to dent it, and collapsed in a heap. Emma watched it twice, her expression increasingly confused. I didn't push him. I just grabbed his wrist and pulled his hand away. How did he—" She looked up at Zilak. "Your walls might need better structural reinforcement if they dent that easily." The wall in question was rated to withstand direct hits from maintenance drones. Before Zilax could respond, his comm chirped. It was his security chief, Jotaro, and the Talixian sounded panicked. "Commander, we have a situation. Vex Thul, Korvax's cousin, is on his way to the holding area. He's demanding proportional retaliation for what happened to his family member." "Absolutely not. Stop him immediately." "We tried to show him the footage, sir. He says Korvax must have gone soft around aliens and that he'll teach the human proper respect." Emma took another sip of coffee. "Is Vexithul bigger than Korvax?" "Considerably," Zilax said, already moving toward the door. "Ms. Johnson, stay here." "Whatever happens." "Commander," Emma's voice stopped him. She was standing now, and there was something in her expression. Not quite annoyance, but definitely the look of someone whose patience was running thin. "If this guy tries to grab me too, I'm not going to just stand there and take it." Fair warning. Zilax wanted to tell her that Vexthul was 400 pounds of even more decorated warrior, that his combat record included things that made grown Talixians weep. Instead, he found himself saying, "Try to be gentle?" Emma laughed. Actually laughed. "Yeah, sure, I'll do my best." The confrontation happened in Corridor 4A because Vexthul apparently couldn't wait the 3 minutes it would have taken to reach the holding area. He'd cornered Emma as she was being escorted back to her quarters by 2 very nervous security officers who had immediately stepped aside when the Zentarii warrior appeared. "Human," Vexthul growled, his 4 arms flexing in what was undoubtedly meant to be an intimidating display. "You injured my cousin. This disrespect will not—" "Dude, did you watch the video?" Emma interrupted, her coffee thermos still in hand, "because I really don't want to do this again. Your species hides behind technology and tricks. Face a true warrior and—" Vexthul attempted what was apparently a classic Zentari dominance move, a full-body chest bump designed to knock opponents off balance and establish physical superiority. He hit Emma Johnson like he was running into a brick wall. The sound echoed through the corridor, a solid, meaty thump that made the watching security officers wince. Vexthul bounced backward, stumbled 3 feet, and crumpled to his knees, his breathing suddenly labored. His chest plates, natural armor that could deflect plasma rounds, had cracked. Emma hadn't moved. She'd barely spilled her coffee. "Okay," she said, setting the thermos down carefully on the floor. "Okay, that's it. I tried to warn you." She walked over to where Vexthul was struggling to breathe, knelt down to his level, and spoke in the tone of a very patient teacher addressing a very slow student. "Listen carefully. I don't know what's going on with you guys, but I am having a really long day. I've been awake for 16 hours, I missed lunch, and I still have 7 more air filters to replace before my shift ends. If you or anyone else tries to put their hands on me, I will remove those hands. Are we clear?" Vexthul, to his credit, managed a wheezing nod before security finally arrived to take him to medical. Emma picked up her coffee, looked at the growing crowd of station personnel who'd emerged to watch, and sighed. "Can someone please tell me where the break room is? I need to sit down for like 5 minutes. The emergency council meeting was held in the station's primary conference room, which had suddenly become very crowded. Commander Zilax sat at the head of the table, looking like he'd aged several years in the past 3 hours. Dr. Lirana was presenting her findings to a room full of increasingly alarmed officials. "Let me be absolutely clear about what we're dealing with," Lirana said, pulling up holographic displays of Emma's biometric data. Ms. Johnson agreed to a full medical scan, and the results are unprecedented. Her bone density is approximately 4 times what we'd consider normal for a bipedal species of her size. Her muscle tissue has an efficiency ratio that violates our current understanding of thermodynamic limitations. Her cardiovascular system operates under pressure loads that would cause immediate organ failure in 97% of known galactic species. "What are you saying?" asked Ambassador Sinara of the Talixian Diplomatic Corps. "That humans are some kind of genetic experiment? A weapon species?" "No," Lirana said quietly. "I'm saying that Earth, their homeworld, has a gravitational constant of 1.0. What humans call standard gravity is what we would classify as a high-gravity environment. They evolved under crushing pressure that never stops, never relents, from the moment they're born until the moment they die. Every step, every movement, every breath is taken while fighting against a force that would hospitalize most of us within hours. The room went silent. Their children, Liarana continued, are proportionally stronger than adult Zentarii warriors, not because they're aggressive or violent, but because their baseline normal is our extreme. Ms. Johnson isn't a soldier. She isn't enhanced. She's a maintenance technician who, by her own species standards, is completely average. She told me, and I quote, "I'm pretty out of shape, honestly. I really should go to the gym more." "Impossible," growled Korvax's family representative, speaking through a translator since his jaw was still wired shut. "Our warriors train for decades to achieve." "Your warriors train in what humans would consider low gravity," Liarana interrupted. "Ms. Johnson has lived her entire life in what amounts to constant resistance training. She doesn't think about it, she can't turn it off. It's just reality for her." Zilax pulled up the footage of Emma casually crumpling a steel maintenance panel one-handed while explaining air filter replacement procedures. She'd done it absently, the way someone might fidget with a piece of paper while discussing the proper seal pressure needed to prevent air leaks. "The panel she destroyed, crumpled, is rated to withstand 600 pounds of pressure," Zilax said. "She didn't notice she was bending it until I pointed it out. Then she apologized and asked if we had more in storage." Ambassador Sinara leaned forward. "Commander, I need you to understand the implications here. We have 47 humans on this station. Are you telling me that all of them are this capable?" "I contacted the Earth Embassy," Zilax said, pulling up his communication logs. "Their ambassador seemed confused by my concern. She said, and again I quote, 'Oh, someone tried to physically intimidate one of ours?' Yeah, that never goes well. Just tell your people not to put hands on humans. We don't like it." That's it? That was her entire response. She also mentioned that Ms. Johnson is on the smaller side for human females, and that we should see what happens if someone bothers the guys from Earth's higher gravity regions. I'm still not entirely sure that was a joke. The Zentari representative made a sound like grinding metal. "You're saying our entire warrior culture is based on a physical advantage that humans simply have? Naturally? Without training?" "Not all humans," Liarana corrected. "Just the ones from standard Earth gravity. Apparently, there are humans from lower gravity settlements who are weaker, but we'd still classify them as exceptionally strong by our standards." The meeting dissolved into chaos. Accusations, demands, threats of diplomatic incidents. It took Zilax 20 minutes to restore order, and even then the Zentarii contingent was calling for Emma's prosecution. "For what crime?" Sinara demanded. "Defending herself?" "The footage is clear. Korvax initiated physical contact after being verbally aggressive. Ms. Johnson requested he release her. When he refused, she used the minimum force necessary to free herself. She shattered his jaw." "She grabbed his wrist," Sinara countered. "By human physiological standards, that's remarkably gentle. She could have punched him. She could have thrown him. She could have done what she did to Vex Thul and let him run into her. Instead, she simply removed his hand from her person. That he was injured in the process is a consequence of his own aggression against a species whose capabilities he didn't understand." "Are you defending?" "I'm stating facts. Under Galactic Council law, any being has the right to remove unwanted physical contact. Miss Johnson exercised that right with, frankly, impressive restraint given her capabilities." The Zentari representative slumped back, defeated. The reality was settling in. Humans weren't warriors. They weren't aggressive. They were just strong in a way that made the galaxy's established hierarchies meaningless. Emma's statement to the council was brief and to the point. She stood at the testimony podium, still in her maintenance uniform, looking uncomfortable with all the attention. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone," she said. "I honestly thought Korvax was just being rude, you know? Like, grabbing someone's collar is pushy anywhere, but I figured he'd just lift me a little and I'd tell him off, and that would be that. I didn't realize—" She paused, choosing her words carefully. "I didn't realize that what's normal for me could hurt someone. On Earth, if you grab someone and they don't want to be grabbed, you might get shoved, or you might get hit, or someone might just pull your hand away. That's just what happens. Nobody thinks about it being dangerous because we're all, built the same." "Ms. Johnson," Sinara said gently, "you mentioned that the station's gravity feels light to you. Can you elaborate?" Emma nodded. "Yeah, it's like, okay, imagine wearing a really heavy backpack your whole life. Not one that hurts, just one that's always there. And then suddenly someone takes it off. Everything feels floaty and easy. I keep forgetting to not put things down too hard because they're so light here. I cracked a data pad last week just setting it on a table. I thought it was defective." "What about your grip strength? The medical scans showed—" "Oh, that's just normal. I mean, I work with tools. You have to be able to hold on to things. I'm not even that strong compared to people who do real physical labor. My buddy Jake, he does construction. He could probably bench press your whole council table." The room erupted in whispers. Emma looked around, confused by the reaction. Is that a problem?" she asked. Commander Zilak stood, raising his hands for silence. "Ms. Johnson, thank you for your cooperation. This council finds that you acted in lawful self-defense. You're free to return to your duties. However, we will be implementing new protocols regarding physical contact with human personnel." "Protocols?" "Yes. Specifically, signs in multiple languages reading, 'Do not touch human personnel' in all common areas." Emma blinked. "That seems a bit much. You put 2 warriors in medical bay in one day without breaking a sweat." "I mean, technically, Vexthul did it to himself. The signs are not negotiable." Emma sighed. "Fine. Can I go? I still have those filters to replace." Over the next week, Station Kepler 9 underwent rapid changes. The most visible were the signs, bright yellow placards with warnings in 17 languages posted throughout the station. But the deeper changes were more significant. All cargo equipment was recalibrated after Emma accidentally dented a shuttle while leaning against it during a conversation. Gym equipment was reinforced after 3 human crew members broke machines set to what they considered light warm-up settings. Handrails were replaced station-wide when a human engineer named Marcus Anderson pulled one off the wall while catching his balance. "I barely touched it," Marcus protested when Zilax showed him the footage. "You exerted approximately 800 pounds of force in a barely touched IT scenario," Zilax replied, wondering if his translator was malfunctioning. "Well, yeah, I was about to fall. Instinct, you know." Zilax did not, in fact, know. The Zentari response was perhaps the most significant cultural shift. Korvax, still speaking through his reconstructed jaw, issued a formal public apology that was broadcast across 4 star systems. "I failed to respect the capabilities of an unknown species," he said, the words clearly painful in multiple ways. "I assumed that because humans were smaller, they were weaker. I assumed that because they seemed peaceful, they were harmless. I was wrong on both counts, and I paid the price for my arrogance. Let this be a lesson. Strength comes in many forms, and wisdom means recognizing it even when it defies your expectations." Vexithul, recovered enough to stand but still wearing a support brace for his cracked chest plates, appeared beside his cousin. The human Emma Johnson showed remarkable restraint. "She warned me. She tried to avoid conflict. I chose aggression, and I learned that humans do not need to choose violence to be dangerous. They simply exist in a state that makes our warriors seem fragile by comparison." The Zentari Warrior Council officially reclassified humans into the extreme caution category, usually reserved for species like crystalline hive minds and plasma-based entities, beings so alien that standard combat protocols were meaningless. Emma found the whole thing hilarious. She took a picture of one of the warning signs and sent it to her sister on Earth with the caption, "Apparently, we're scary now." Her sister's response, "Elmao, did you finally snap at someone? I just grabbed a guy's wrist and now there's a whole incident." Classic Emma. The break room had become a fascinating study in interspecies relations. Aliens gave Emma a wide berth, not out of malice, but out of genuine fear. She'd started bringing extra cookies from Earth. Her mom had sent a care package and leaving them on the communal table with a note. "Please take some. They're meant to be shared." Most species were too nervous to approach. One day, a young Talixian named Rylia carefully approached the table, clearly drawn by the smell of chocolate chip cookies but equally clearly terrified. "It's okay," Emma said softly, not looking up from her crossword puzzle. "I don't bite." "Your species could bite through bone," Rylia whispered. "Well, yeah, but I'm not going to. Take a cookie, they're good." Rylia so carefully, took one cookie and retreated to a safe distance. She took a small bite, and her expression transformed into pure delight. Oh, this is wonderful," Emma smiled. "Right. My mom makes them with extra chocolate. Here, take a few more for your friends." By the end of the week, the break room had relaxed considerably. Turns out, cookies were excellent diplomacy. Commander Zilax's final report to the Galactic Council was comprehensive, horrifying, and changed everything. "Humans evolved on a death world," he wrote. "Not in the traditional sense. Earth doesn't have acid rain or carnivorous plants or toxic atmosphere. It's a death world because of gravity, because humans spent millions of years evolving under constant crushing pressure that never stopped. They built civilizations while fighting every moment just to stand upright. They developed art, science, philosophy, and culture while inhabiting bodies that would kill most of us through sheer environmental exposure. They are not aggressive by nature. They are not violent by preference. But they are dangerous in a way we never anticipated. They are casually, accidentally, thoughtlessly capable of extreme physical force. And most of them don't even realize it because to them, it's just normal. I recommend immediate implementation of the following protocols across all council stations and vessels. Physical contact with humans requires explicit consent. Do not grab, push, or physically intimidate human personnel under any circumstances. Security personnel should treat physically aggressive encounters with humans as critical threat scenarios. All equipment and structures accessible to humans should be reinforced to human-safe standards. Mandatory education for all personnel regarding human capabilities and proper interaction protocols. The report concluded, "We have been fortunate. The humans we've encountered have been peaceful, patient, and remarkably tolerant of our ignorance regarding their nature. But we cannot rely on their continued tolerance. We must adapt to them, not expect them to limit themselves for our comfort. They are already doing so every single day, every single moment. The least we can do is meet them halfway." The report was approved unanimously. 3 months later, Emma was back to her normal routine, replacing air filters in Section 7. A new Zentarii security officer, young, nervous, clearly fresh from training that now included extensive human interaction protocols, watched from a respectful distance. "Hey," Emma called out, waving cheerfully. "Can you hand me that wrench?" The officer looked at the wrench, looked at Emma, and carefully slid it across the floor rather than risk getting close enough to hand it to her directly. Emma laughed. "I'm not gonna bite you." "Respectfully, Ms. Johnson, your species could bite through my arm bones." "Okay, that's fair," Emma admitted, picking up the wrench. "But I won't." "Promise." "Your promises are worth considerably more than they were 3 months ago." Is that a compliment? It's a statement of fact. You have become something of a legend among security personnel. There are training videos. Emma groaned. Please, tell me you're joking. I wish I was. Your confrontation with Vexthul is mandatory viewing for all new security hires across 47 systems. It's titled, Why You Don't Touch Humans, A Cautionary Tale. That's so embarrassing. That's Galactic standard protocol now. Emma finished tightening the filter housing and climbed down from the maintenance ladder, which creaked alarmingly under what should have been negligible weight but was now rated for human usage. How's Korvax doing? She asked. Recovered. He's actually applied to join the Human Liaison Program. Really? He says someone needs to help other species understand humans, and who better than someone who learned the hard way? The security officer tilted his head curiously. He speaks highly of you, actually, says you showed mercy when you could have done much worse. I just didn't want to hurt him, Emma said quietly. That's not mercy. That's just being a person. To you, perhaps. To us, it was a revelation that humans are dangerous but not cruel. It's an important distinction. Emma packed up her tools, signed off on the maintenance log, and headed toward the break room. As she walked through the corridors, aliens pressed themselves against the walls to give her space, not out of fear anymore, but out of respect. Some even nodded greeting. In the break room, she found her usual table occupied by a mixed group, 2 Talixians, a Zentari, and something that looked like a floating jellyfish. They were all eating cookies. Emma, one of the Talixians called out. Your mother sent another package. These ones have nuts in them. Peanut butter chocolate chip, Emma confirmed, sitting down carefully in a chair that had been reinforced twice. She puts in extra protein, says I need to eat better. They're exceptional, the Zentari said. He was younger than Korvax, his warrior markings less elaborate. My combat instructor tried one and said it was the closest he's come to understanding human culture. That's weirdly deep for a cookie. He said anything that tastes this good and is this dense must come from a species that understands suffering and joy in equal measure. Emma laughed. Or my mom just really likes baking. Perhaps both are true. They sat there for a while, sharing cookies and conversation, a maintenance worker and several aliens who'd learned that humans weren't monsters, just people who happened to be built for a world that would kill most everyone else. Later, Emma texted her sister, Update. Still scary, apparently, but they're getting used to it. Made some friends. They really like Mom's cookies. Her sister, See? I told you food fixes everything. Not everything. Korvax still can't eat solid food for another month. Okay, but that was his fault. True lol. Commander Zilax, reviewing the day's security reports, noted with satisfaction that there had been 0 incidents involving humans, 0 physical altercations, 0 misunderstandings. Human integration was proceeding carefully. He pulled up the latest statistics. 147 humans now serving on council stations and vessels. 147 walking, talking reminders that strength wasn't about aggression, that danger didn't mean malice, and that the universe was far stranger and more wonderful than they'd ever imagined. His final log entry for the day, Station Kepler 9, Day 127 of Human Integration Protocol, cookies in the break room, all species accounted for, no injuries reported. Recommend expanding human cultural exchange program to include more baked goods. He paused, then added, and remind all personnel, do not touch the humans. They don't like it, and neither will you. It was, he reflected, a good day. In her quarters, Emma finished her crossword puzzle, set her coffee mug in the reinforced sink, and sent one final text to her mom. Thanks for the cookies. They're a huge hit. Everyone asks me to tell you they're amazing. Her mom's response was immediate. Tell them I'll send more. Do they like snickerdoodles? Emma smiled. I'll ask. Love you, Mom. Love you too, sweetie. Try not to break anything else this week. No promises, Emma replied. She meant it as a joke, but given the incident with the cargo bay door yesterday, she'd closed it normally, it had fallen off its hinges. She was probably being more honest than she intended. Outside her window, the stars wheeled by in their endless dance, and somewhere out there, the galaxy was slowly learning that humans were just people who happened to come from a world where standing up was an act of defiance against crushing force. And maybe, just maybe, that made them exactly the kind of people the galaxy needed, strong enough to protect, gentle enough to share cookies, and stubborn enough to keep trying even when the universe seemed determined to make everything difficult. After all, they'd been doing that their entire lives. What was a little galactic integration compared to Earth gravity?